Winter, and this is Confusional Arousals. In October, I will release Cinderella's End Part 2, Where Evil Lives, in book form. I released the print copy of Cinderella's End Part 1 in 2017. I appreciate everyone who purchased a hard copy since then. To get the hype going, I decided to release Part 1 as an ebook. Isn't that exciting? And this will happen at the end of July. I don't usually release ebooks, but why not? Cinderella's End is a reimagining of the original story, following Cinderella as she adjusts to castle life and her role as a royal. This is not a spoiler, but things do not end happily ever after. Not just yet. It is chock full of evil witches, deformed monsters, abductions, emotional affairs, and castle intrigue. Please enjoy this book, which started it all in either print or ebook format. And now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. I went to New York in early April to see my parents. They're 96 years young, and sometimes it's hard for me when I remember how vibrant they once were. Such is life. My mother was a reading teacher, and she always loved literature. She still loves to read. My sister, who lives nearby, is at their apartment 3 to 4 times a week. She printed out some poetry for my mother just for this purpose. I sat by her as she ate her breakfast, which consisted of a cheese sandwich, grapes, coffee, and a hard-boiled egg. She finished breakfast and was sitting at the table when the nurse cleaned up. I handed her some poems. She looked at me as if she didn't know what to do. I said, "Read me some poems, Mother." Her gaze returned to the pages on the table before her. She slid the top page to the left to reveal the next poem. Her eyes lit up as she read Emily Dickinson's Hope is the Thing with Feathers. I'd like to share it with you as well. Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. That little poem is part of so many people's lives. Funny how things can remain meaningful after months, years, and centuries. Many people today want instant success, immediate recognition. People of the past had more patience. Writers, painters, and artists of all kinds used to create works to answer works by other artists, not to challenge them or bring them down most of the time, but to have a public discussion on the nature of their art. Ms. Dickinson was long dead when I wrote my impression of her poem, but I'd like to share that as well. To Emily. I bought a bumper sticker yesterday. It read, "Hope is the thing with feathers," a famous quote by a famous poet. But why isn't hope that thing? It flies, it floats, it dances in the sky. Sometimes it attempts to touch the sun, only to fail and fall earthward. But hope remains hopeful, and so do I. I think most people would stick with the original, but that is not the point. Great art makes us consider the alternatives. It makes us think about things differently, so we have to re-examine our long-held beliefs. Miss Dickinson made me re-examine my definition of hope. Back to this April in Brooklyn. When my mom was reading to me about hope having feathers, I thought of a book I read over 30 years ago, Woody Allen's Without Feathers, and I wondered, are the two connected? And of course they are. Woody Allen referenced Emily Dickinson's poem about hope to show he had none, which is a part of his unique sense of humor. The book came out when I was in high school. I loved Woody Allen back then, but the only thing I knew about Emily Dickinson was that you could sing every one of her poems to the Yellow Rose of Texas. Let's try it, shall we? Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words, never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. I am sorry if that has ruined her writing for you forever. But just to be fair, I think I should sing mine. To Emily. I bought a bumper sticker yesterday. It read, "A hope is the thing with feathers," a famous quote by a famous poet. And why isn't the hope that thing? It floats, it flies, it dances in the sky. Sometimes it attempts to touch the sun, only to fail and fall earthward. But hope remains hopeful, and so do I. I think most people would still prefer the original. Since then, my appreciation of Ms. Dickinson has increased. But that was only because, really, if I was honest, well, it was because of a woman. She was an ELA teacher, just like my mom, and I fell for her like, I don't know, however guys fall really hard for gals. She loved Emily Dickinson, and I loved Emily because she loved Emily. Once, after we were no more, but I wasn't over her, the school had a dress-up day where you had to come dressed as your favorite character, author, or piece of writing. I dressed up in a very weird outfit featuring strange color combinations, mismatched patterns, and a large hat with feathers rising from the top. She didn't get who I was trying to be. Maybe that's why we didn't last. I told her I was Hope because I had feathers. She smiled politely and went back to grading her papers. I suppose my love for Emily Dickinson's poetry lasted longer than my real-life relationship. C'est la vie. As revealed in my poem, I once bought a bumper sticker at a bookstore that read, "Hope is the thing with feathers." All of my cars were junkers then. I didn't think they would last very long, so I put the bumper sticker on my front door. It has lasted longer than any of my cars, or the bookstore for that matter. Ah, well, it is what it is. I suppose that one good thing about not being in a relationship is that you could put bumper stickers on your front door or anywhere else that you would like to stick 'em. Sic vita est hominum, or such is the life of man. Or, as Ralph Cramden said in The Honeymooners, sic vita est homina, 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 homina. Woody Allen's beginning chapter in Without Feathers reminded me of Chekhov's writing, Notes on a Terribly Unfulfilled Life. I used the convention of notes to self a lot as well, Trigorin, in The Seagull, uses it before either of us, Alan or myself. With or without feathers seems to lead me to the same conclusion. Hope is something we must maintain even though all life is hopeless. If we obtain everything that we hope for in our lives, we soon realize that it was all for naught. A person finds their soulmate, but one will die, leaving the other alone. A person achieves great wealth, but his riches won't buy him another second on this earth. You have great beauty, but beauty fades. Strength fades. Power fades. Clarity fades. Chekhov thought his plays were comedies. Desperate people desperate about little things. I love her, but she loves him, and he loves someone else. Or even worse, doesn't love anyone at all, but he just doesn't care. I want to go to Moscow. I've lost the cherry orchard. I'm unhappy. Where did everybody go? Woody Allen turns the desperation on its ear by being totally ridiculous. But does that make it any less desperate? His reference to Dickinson's poem from his book. How wrong Emily Dickinson was. Hope is not the thing with feathers. The thing with feathers has turned out to be my nephew. I must take him to a specialist in Zurich. Quite funny, if you like that kind of thing. A lot of humor is a way of controlling the moment, the hopelessness. Look, my life is shit, but I could laugh at it, so it has no power over me. A man walks into a bar and says, ouch, physical pain, emotional pain. Two can live as cheaply as one, especially if the other one is inflatable. Political pain. There's a whiteboard in my mailroom at school. That's not the joke. Every month they put up a question or thought you can complete. January was, what is your New Year's resolution? I wrote, to have that growth looked at. This month, April's showers bring May. I added an apostrophe S. I put a different answer every couple of days. So it read, April showers brings May's annexation of Canada. War with Greenland. Fishing trip to the Gulf of America. Deportation of mi abuela. All terrible things, but mildly amusing. My attempts at levity were promptly removed. But I still enjoyed writing them. Humor is how we deal with our pain. I'm lost and alone, but I can laugh, so I'm in control. I guess humor is the subconscious acknowledgement that we are all fucked. Back to my mother. She loved reading that poem. She has moments of clarity when I see her as she used to be, her smile, her laughter, her love of living. Later I showed her some pictures and asked her who the people were in the pictures. I showed her her wedding photo. She didn't know who the people were. When I told her the pretty woman was her, she pointed to the man. Who was that, she asked. I told her that that handsome man was her husband. She looked impressed. I said, he's cute, isn't he? She said, I think I'll keep him. And then she laughed as in the old days. A big, full laugh. I sat beside her, and I took her hand and told her I loved her. She said she loved me too. A moment later, she asked me who I was. As long as I have been on this earth, Emily Dickinson's poem has always been around. Feathers signifying hope seem to have been a part of my life forever, returning to me, but never meaning the same thing. Whether it is the anti-feathers of Woody Allen, or the country western rendition, or the time when love was new, or the heartbreak that followed, it doesn't have to be an actual feather. I don't have any feathers in my home. It is the concept of the feather, the thing we never really let go of, whether it is an object, event, or a person. The thing that keeps returning, reminding us of who we were, who we are, who we want to be, and who we will never be. I am A.F. Winter, and this has been Confusional Arousals.
Hope is the thing with feathers, a famous quote from a famous poet, forgotten words written long ago, no one listens to long ago. But why isn't hope that thing? Why can't hope be that thing? It floats, it flies, it dances in the sky. One day I'll soar that high. Sometimes it tries to touch the sun, only to fail, only to fall. It hasn't lost if it's not done. Just one more fail.